Hello and welcome to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like to hear more about our show, or if you'd like to hear more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit us online at our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. And while at the website, click on our radio page, check out our past shows, and subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Most people head into retirement with a list of personal goals like travel, new hobbies, more time with family, and sleeping in. While maintaining the list of personal goals is an important part of your financial strategy, retirement still comes with nuts and bolts that tasks that you've got to grapple with, right? Perhaps the most important shopkeeping task during retirement is doing as much as you can to preserve your retirement savings. After all, nobody can ever be sure how long they're going to live. It's not unreasonable to think that your retirement may last into your 90s. And that means your retirement savings and other assets must be substantial enough to see you through a potentially long retirement. In this show today, we're going to discuss some steps you may be able to take to preserve your retirement assets and assess that goal of to achieve that goal of not running out of money in your later years. But before we get into that topic, I want to introduce you to my co-host, Tony Shore, who's already starting shopping for Christmas.
Hang on. We're having technical difficulties today, aren't we? And by technical difficulties, I mean, neither one of us can speak, which is important for radio, isn't it?
It is important for radio.
Whoops.
Get it together, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, Christmas gifts, no. I'm nowhere near being ready. I wish I had all my gifts bought, but I haven't started yet. It's a little early for that, although I went into the store, day after Halloween, I went into the local Target. It is Christmas everywhere. There are only two things you can find at Target right now.
Yeah.
Christmas stuff and Wicked tie-in merch. Target has gone all Wicked. Like they're making a new movie called Wicked, and based on the Broadway musical Wicked. And it's the Wizard of Oz.
Sure.
And I'm not into musicals, and I never saw Wicked, the Broadway musical.
No.
But I will say that I saw the ad for it, Chris, and Jeff Goldblum plays the wizard. So,
that'd be good.
and he's in a couple of the clips. I don't know how much he's in the movie, but it sounded great. He's awesome. I mean, anything Jeff Goldblum touches is great, typically.
Yeah, he's got some gravitas that a lot of actors just do not have.
Right.
With a sense of humor.
You're right. Everyone loves him, and he's kind of becoming a national treasure. You know, there's you can buy Jeff Goldblum head air fresheners for your car, instead of the pine tree, it's Jeff Goldblum. There's Jeff Goldblum pillows at gift shops now. It's hilarious. He's become he's somewhat of a meme, but he's really respected too. And I think he's a great actor, but he is, no matter what, he's always Jeff Goldblum, but he's so unique and has such a presence, like you say, right? Gravitas
that's right.
is
he's gravitas with a sense of humor.
Yes,
and that's an important part, because even he was in a Marvel movie. He's done all kinds of different things.
Jurassic Park,
always with a sense of humor. Even though he played in Jurassic Park, he was this very serious philosopher.
No, he was an MIT. He played a science guy, and he was philosophy and science. He talked about the chaos theory.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, he was really nope, that's not good, because the chaos theory would tell us that this is headed for trouble.
It's headed for trouble, and he was right.
And he always uses his hands to talk too, and they're he makes weird hand gestures. I love it. It's so fun.
He's got really big hands.
He has huge hands, and he's always like, it's and he's always using that hand gesture. Just watch him on a talk show or in a movie. It's always the same. Why this is important is because you watch that. That's what I love about Goldblum. I love a lot about Jeff Goldblum, but anyway, I digress. We have a great show. I think there are a few things out there that are more terrifying than not being able to have enough retirement savings and preserving it as long as possible, making it last. We talk about that a lot on the show, but I'm glad we're touching on it again today because it is important and we see a lot of changes happening out there. So where do you want to begin with this topic?
Well, the first point I want to make about preserving your retirement savings is first maxing out your retirement and health savings contributions. So if you work for an employer, you may have an HSA. You should max that out. If you work for somebody, they probably have some type of retirement account or for qualified savings. Go ahead and get that maxed out. They're foundational pieces of tax strategies, right? So make sure you work with your financial services professional. Double check that you're hitting your cap contributions for these accounts like traditional IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, your HSAs, all these kinds of things. So like for an HSA, you can defer taxes that you put in there, right? And then you can, if you pay for healthcare, there's no taxes that you pay then as well. So the current limit is $4,150 for an individual and $8,300 for a family. So, and if you're over 55, you can add $1,000 catch-up contribution to that. So you may be able to keep making those contributions past age 65 if you're still employed, and you haven't signed up for Medicare or started receiving Social Security. You can still add to that HSA.
Yeah, there you go. Well, HSAs, it's the triple tax benefit, right? And it's the only account in the IRS tax code or account designation that allows you to put the money in tax-free, so you get a tax break on your income on the money that goes in. It grows tax-free and compounds. It can be compounding too. It can be in an account that grows and earns income, interest and compounding interest, and then it comes out tax-free as long as you use it on something medical related. And you can use it on things that Medicare doesn't cover. You can use it on things that aren't covered by your current health plan if you're still employed. So, and it doesn't run out each year, right? I mean, that's huge.
That's right. All those contributions carry over even past when you're employed, so you can keep that HSA account alive. Now, if at some point you say, "Hey, I'm not spending this. I got so much money built up in here," you can convert that into a type of qualified plan, like a traditional IRA.
Sure.
So you can do that. So that's something to keep in mind, is there is a way to convert those so you don't have to spend them on health accounts.
Sure. But you're going to need people who think, well, I'll have Medicare in retirement. I'm not going to need to save up my money that I have in my HSAs. Medicare doesn't cover everything.
They don't cover everything, and there is a deductible. So
there's still deductibles. There's still premiums. There's still copays. There's still some drug costs, possibly. Even if you have an Advantage plan, you're going to end up paying for some things. And especially if you don't have an Advantage plan that covers, or a separate plan outside of Medicare that would cover hearing, vision, and dental, you can use your HSA for that, because that's not covered by traditional Medicare. So hearing aids alone, you think you're not going to need money. The average retiree, in addition to Medicare, spends what, $200,000 to $300,000 during retirement on healthcare. That's that's a
huge number.
It is a huge number, and they've done survey after survey, and that is the average amount is somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year. Or I mean, in the lifetime,
during a lifetime,
a lifetime of retirement, during retirement, not a year, but during your retirement. That's for a couple during retirement, but still a lot of money, right?
It's a lot of money. And so that HSA can really help preserve your retirement for what it's meant to do. So you're not spending those retirement dollars on medical bills. So
All right.
that's the key thing, is having that money there so you don't spend your retirement dollars. Because if you spend all your HSA out and then you start spending retirement dollars on medical care, what's going to happen to maybe the spouse that's left behind? So make sure
Right.
that you have
Right.
that planned out. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Plus, if you don't put money into an HSA and use that in retirement, and you use money from other accounts, you'll probably have to pay taxes on it. So
that's right.
you're going to lose that tax advantage. But not everybody will have access to an HSA
No,
or be able to afford to put money in and leave it there and not use it during their working years. So those are some
right.
things you have to look at, though, some strategies that you could possibly use. Now, what's the next way we might be able to preserve our retirement savings?
So Roth contributions and potentially making, I guess, Roth conversions
Ah,
before the tax cuts expire at the end of 2025. And
sure.
we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the upcoming administration.
True.
Um, but right now, the tax cuts are expected to retire at the end of 2025. And so all the tax brackets move up. So if we convert before then we're paying a lower tax rate than if we do it after. So that's the idea behind that. Now, if you contribute to a Roth IRA and a Roth 401k, that's a really excellent way to save for retirement. Why do we say that? Well, because it's never subject to taxes again, right? So you max out those contributions into those Roth qualified plans, and then you don't have to worry about tax risk in the future on that particular those particular groups of funds, right? So that's kind of nice when
It
you can
is.
remove that risk, right? We're all
Right.
about risk mitigation over at Nolan Financial Partners.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so we really like Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks. You can preserve your assets away from taxes. Um, they can provide some benefit before you retire because there's ways to use the money before you retire. Um, so there's ways to use that. Make sure you check on that before you get it done. Um, Now, if you may not want to convert all of your traditional RAs to Roths, but it's something to look at doing. Make sure you have a conversion plan kind of in place, because at some point it may not make sense to convert those depending on what your tax rate might be in the future. If you're dropping into a different tax bracket when you retire, maybe it doesn't make sense, but it's something to look at. Most people do lower their tax brackets a little bit in retirement. So it kind of depends on what your situation is. Um, so they're not a good fit for everyone. So
Yeah.
you've got to know what's best for you. If you don't know, go see somebody that really understands finances, like that financial service professional. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and like you always say, Chris, just because a Roth conversion is the right move for your buddy or a guy across the street doesn't necessarily mean it's the right move for you.
No,
Every financial strategy is unique, but it is a really great tax-free option,
yes, it is.
money to have in a tax-free bucket if it can fit your particular situation. Some people might not qualify to contribute money to a Roth,
That's right.
or it may not be the best when you do the math. Okay, well, here's going to be my tax situation is going to be this in retirement, and it's this now. You
Yeah,
have to look at those things, and I wouldn't want to make these decisions. That's what you do for your clients
that's
and
right.
people you meet with, Chris. You and Tara help people figure out, okay, you're in this tax bracket now. You've got this much money saved. In retirement, you have these accounts. You're going to be in this tax situation. Here's why a Roth is one of the best vehicles you could possibly do. Or here's why a
Yeah,
Roth mathematically doesn't make sense to you. But to figure that out, you need a trusted financial professional who's going to look out for your best interests. And I know that's what you and Tara do for your clients and people you meet with. So our listeners should give you a call. But everybody's situation is unique, as you always say, right?
that's right. And so we'll sit down with you. We have complimentary consultations set aside. Give us a call at 719-210-4242. We have those between Tuesdays and Thursday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we'll get those set up. Complimentary consultation, 719-210-4242. Go to nolanfinancialpartners.com, and we'll get that set up for you.
All right.
So the next thing I want to talk about was about deferring distributions from retirement accounts and waiting on to start your Social Security until you hit related age limits, right? You want to make sure
Okay.
that you're waiting the right amount of time. Well, what is that time? Well, that's something that you can sit down and talk with us about. We can run a Social Security maximization report to help you figure that out. We can run through what your limits are as far as your retirement accounts, what you should be drawing from. Maybe it makes sense to draw from your retirement accounts and push Social Security till later. Maybe it doesn't, but we run all those numbers so that it's not a secret. One of the things, if you're in good health and you think you're going to live a long time, the current age for full retirement with Social Security is age 67. So that means that if you're working, you don't want to start your Social Security until age 67 if you're going to continue to work through that age. Okay. There's some details behind that.
Sure.
Because there's a cost associated. There's a penalty for working before you reach full retirement age. And collecting Social Security. There's a penalty on that Social Security income.
Yeah, they'll start taking withholding some of your Social Security. So, and I know my neighbor, a guy I know, made that mistake. He filed at 62 because, he had been told by a friend or someone pointed out to him, hey, you got to file as early as possible because Social Security isn't going to be there. It probably won't be funded. They're going to take away our Social Security or cut it way back, and you'll get more checks that way. Right. And that's what,
Right.
And the majority, I read the statistic is, it's high, like 70% of all people file as early at 62. It's nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Because what did he do? He kept working and had a high paying job. So what happened was he filed, locked in a lower amount.
Right.
Then after the first couple checks, they said, oh, wait, you're earning all this income. We're going to withhold. And they withheld it all. They withheld almost all of it.
Sure.
For every $3 you earn, they withhold $2, I think.
Yep.
And that's for anyone making over, I forget what it is. It's really low, like 24,000 or 32,000 maybe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's in the low 20s for the 2024.
Yeah. So, obviously he made way more than $22,000 a year. And even working part-time, a lot of people make more than that. So that's a tough one. And a lot of people make that mistake when they could have withheld and let it roll up 6 to 8% a year while they wait. Now, if you don't have longevity or you have a terminal illness or you want to retire early, there are many reasons people should file early, but
that's right.
For the majority of Americans, it's probably the wrong move. But again, have the Social Security maximization report run that you guys do. Work with a financial advisor to look at your particular situation before filing, right?
That's right. Make sure you understand what is going to be best for you. One of the things is you mentioned that 8%. So at age 67 to age 70, it goes up 8% a year during those times. So that's a 24% increase in just those 3 years. In those 3 years, that's almost a full 25%, right? A quarter.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot. And that's more than most people will make on their investments during those years. You could make more if you
not consistently.
Not consistently and not a guaranteed increase like that.
No.
So
Yeah.
Good luck finding a guaranteed 8% return with a guarantee like it would be. So that's tough. All right. So you don't want to make costly mistakes with that, with Social Security. And that is a good way to preserve your retirement savings is to maximize it, file at the right time. And again, listeners can call you if they have questions about that. What's that number again?
That number is 719-210-4242. Give us a call and we'll set up that complimentary consultation.
All right. So what's another strategy to help us preserve our retirement savings, Chris? What do you got for us next?
So the next strategy is going to help you preserve retirement savings by creating charitable gifts. Maybe you've got some appreciated stock, or you've got some qualified funds that you've got to make distributions on. You can give those to charity.
Hmm.
So we call them qualified charitable distributions. And if you do them directly from a qualified account, it's pretty straightforward. I help some of my clients do this, and then when they move those funds, they don't the charity those funds don't have to have taxes paid on them, right? Because they went directly from your qualified account to the charity. So typically, there's significant tax benefits. You get to do that charitable donation, and it doesn't go against your taxes. So, and then you get that tax break when. So make sure you talk to your CPA and your tax advisor about these things. We can help you kind of help plan it out so that it
Sure.
works inside your tax strategy. You get some meaningful philanthropy going, and it works with your overall financial strategy. So because we want to preserve the money we have, these charitable donations can help you reduce your taxable income while providing you with other benefits even after your prime earning years have concluded, right? So to utilize this deduction, make direct contributions to preferred charities or organizations, maybe via donor advice funds, as well as gifts in kind of appreciated shares. These are some of the terms that apply to these things. So now you can give as much as $105,000 if you're over 70 and a half. So that could be a considerable amount of savings from your taxable income in retirement. Now, there's also a way that you can do. So you're going to have required minimum distributions at one point from your retirement plans, right? Well, I have some clients, they take their required minimum distribution and goes directly into this qualified charitable donation.
Hmm.
And so they don't have to pay the taxes on that. And they get that donation tax qualification.
And a lot of people have charities that they really want to support, or they
Of course.
tithe to their
That's right.
churches.
That's right.
And yeah, my mom and dad always wrote checks from their checking account for that tithe, even after they were full retirement age. You know, they were past 70 and a half, which at that time was full retirement age. So they had those RMDs that they had to take from their IRAs. And I wish they'd had a financial advisor like yourself to say, hey, you can save the taxes on that money. The church will get it tax free.
Yep.
And you won't have to pay taxes on it. It's a win-win.
Right. Win-win. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's really important. And that's another great way to save some money. Good information. And again, our listeners can just talk to you, work with a trusted financial services
That's right.
professional. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we can help you figure that out.
Yep.
To bet to your best benefit and to something that makes you feel good.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. So
So,
what's next?
so the other thing I wanted to talk to you, our listeners about was making sure that they understand all the rules and regulations when it comes to investing, so that they have a steady supply of funds that are tax efficient, and they come from places where they don't have to maybe worry so much about market volatility, right? Because there you want market volatility for growth, but maybe for some income you don't want that volatility because you don't want to be selling something when it's at a discount, right? So you want this balance, and so if we can preserve our retirement dollars by having things that aren't susceptible to the ups and downs of the market, or maybe less susceptible, right? So maybe it's through a managed asset portfolios that maybe high dividend yields or something like that. They have safety, they have liquidity. Maybe it's some other kind of financial product that works really good for them, something that has some tax deferral tied to it, but doesn't have that risk that the market has, that full risk that the market has. So there's different ways to do that, and how do we balance funds that are going to grow for us in case we live a long time, but also make sure we have money for today, and we're not maybe selling a stock at a discount or creating a big tax problem for us by having to sell something to make ends meet when we don't want to sell that. So there's ways of maybe harvesting tax losses too, right? So that you can offset capital gains to some of your other things. There's so many different ways of doing the management of getting money from qualified and unqualified accounts so that you can spend them effectively.
Right. Yeah, and I always appreciate, Chris, you always emphasize that investing isn't something you want to do on your own. There's just too much meat on the bone, as Grandma used to say, right? Any
That's right.
financial strategy can benefit from experience and getting a second opinion. But that doesn't just apply to investing. Other things we're talking about today, we mentioned Medicare and Social Security. These all have financial implications, taxes, and you can help make sense of everything and help people make fully informed decisions, can't you?
That's right. So we can balance what we think we're going to need with what we have, and then we can figure out what's the perfect middle. Where is what I have going to satisfy with what I need, and then what I want. And then take care of me so that I don't have to worry about maybe health risk or some kind of financial risk that comes upon me that I didn't know about, right? At some point, everybody needs new windows in their house. They need this, the heater's going to go out, the hot water tank's going to go out. So we always make sure that we have plans for those things so our clients aren't left without funds in retirement.
Yeah. There you go. That's the bottom line. Well, we're almost out of time for today's show. So one more time, Chris, before we go, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you.
So our listeners can visit our website at nolanfinancialpartners.com or call our office at 719-210-4242. We can discuss how we can answer your questions about saving for retirement, your retirement goals, or any other elements of your financial strategy. So it's our goal to help you prepare for the retirement you worked so hard for. So give us a call, 719-210-4242.
All right. Well, Chris, great show today. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio.
Join us again soon for another episode of Nolan Financial Radio.